Arsenic. Arsenic is not just a third world problem, especially when it comes to drinking water and food supply and everything else. Arsenic pretty much is a first world problem, or I should say, our problem. To go through the list of what arsenic actually does when you get too much, or I should say any amount per se, look at it from everything from lung cancer, skin cancer, diabetes, obesity, lower IQs, and that's just to start the list. Now, that's all within what's considered safe levels by our U.S. government. Now, to proceed forward, what does homeopathy possibly have to do with arsenic itself? Well, if we look at the title of this one study, Arsenic Remedy for Arsenic Poisoning, Homeopathic Solution for a Global Catastrophe. You're going to find that quite a bit. Now, before you go, oh, homeopathic, it's not studied, da-da-da, whatever the propaganda is, wrong. Homeopathy is heavily studied. The few studies I show here are all from the National Center for Biotechnology and Information. And on top of that, it meets the criteria for validity because the studies have been repeated, not just in animals, but also now in small trials of people. Now, let's go into the study itself. As supplying arsenic-free drinking water cannot totally rule out the chance of arsenic contamination from other sources, the problem of eradicating arsenic-related diseases cannot be addressed through such effort alone. This is what spurred the researchers on. The patentized homeopathic drug Arsenicum album not only has the ability to remove arsenic from the body, but these drugs, it's interesting when you hear the words drugs and homeopathy put in the same word, or sentence I should say, but there it is. In microdoses appear to have the ability to detoxify the ill effects produced by arsenic, at least in mice. A few human studies too, just keep in mind. The authors write, and this is quoting from the research itself. The authors write, it is quite amazing that such microdoses, because they're surprised too, of a patentized homeopathic drug which is produced by the dilution and succession of the toxic substance itself, meaning not there, were capable of bringing about such spectacular enzymatic alterations in mice treated with a toxic dose of arsenic oxide. This is far more fascinating. This is more fascinating because the dilution at which the drug appeared to be effective was so high that the chance of even a single original molecule being in them was theoretically almost impossible. That's where you hear the word quackery quite a bit. But that's a prejudice produced by whoever's writing the article or trying to promote whatever their views are. Science is about observation, hypothesis, and theory. Scientific method, you learn in elementary school. And all the scientists are doing here is following scientific method, first following the observation and then move forward to the hypothesis. But I digress. As the treatment worked in rodents, cynics will not be able to say that this homeopathic remedy works via psychosomatic effect. You hear that a lot too. The researchers said any attempt to explain the mechanism of action of the homeopathic drug would be highly speculative at this present state of knowledge. All they know is it worked. Although it could play a role in regulating genes. Get into the meat of the study, this is what they did real fast, and I'm going to go through it high speed. Mice with and without arsenic poisoning were fed by the drop either distilled water, arsenic amalgam, or alcohol had been through the same preparation procedure as the homeopathic remedy 3 times a day. The research team then monitored the activity of 2 enzymes, ALT and AST, remember that, liver enzymes, in the blood and liver of mice to assess the level of liver damage in these animals, as both enzymes are more active in mice with arsenic poisoning. Their activity can be used as a marker of toxicity. They found, I'll slow down now, that Arsenicum album at 2 different dilutions, one was 30 and the other one was 200, I believe the C dilutions, could reduce the activity levels of the 2 liver enzymes within 72 hours and maintained its positive effect for up to 30 days. Distilled water had no effect on either enzyme and alcohol actually increased the activity of AST. Now let's go into the one human study, because again, I don't like to focus on human study initially because it was a small trial. But however, though, this is what they said. Out of the cited work, can homeopathic arsenic remedy combat arsenic poisoning in humans exposed to groundwater arsenic contamination? A preliminary report on the first human trial. This is how they concluded their study. Despite all limitations, initial research indicated in a reasonably convincing way that the efficacy of the homeopathic remedy by Arsenicum album 30, that's the concentration, in bringing back the spirit and energy of most as victims who showed distinct benefits and improvement in their health conditions after administration of the remedy for 3 months. That's validation. So what happens is homeopathy, regardless of the argument you're going for or against, not concerned. But in the case of arsenic toxicity, arsenic poisoning, contamination in drinking water, baby formula, whatever it is, especially as it relates to skin cancers and who knows what else, Arsenicum album has validity, unless it can be proven otherwise. Again, this is Ralph Turchiano. I really do hope this helps, and thank you very much for listening once again.